It is a tale as old as tales themselves. The brave hero rising up to the call, eager to tackle any challenge that threatens the peace we strive so hard to achieve. It's almost romantic, the noblest pursuit to which one can dedicate their life to. What an honor it must be to ignite the hopes of the masses and to bask in their eager adoration. And so he comes to you, the shield who chuckles at the blows of villainy, the ward who would see no commoner lost to monsters. Let their smiles return to their faces, the weary folk harassed by the woes of this world. Allay your worries, set aside your concerns, dear friends. Now is the time for us to rise up to the occasion. I will be with you, charging into the fray with a grin of righteous victory. But it's all an act, isn't it? A cheap distraction to cut the lie you tell yourself. You do not know fear. You are the hero the little people need to be spurred into action. But below the surface, you know your own cowardice, and you fear their judgment. So once again, we will have to find a way to bring those smiles back to your faces, my dear people. Rejoice, for the smirking bulwark is here to keep your fears at bay.
Bards. The musician, the scoundrel, the lover, the jester. Bards. I've never been big on this class because of how it was portrayed, even despite the many ways in which players depict them. There's always this goofy, trash-talking comedic core to their characters that just didn't sit right with me. That was until I saw Nathaniel Gainsby, a character Davy Chappie played on Joe Cat's Necrohunt campaign stream. Nathaniel was this cold, serious, inquisitorial individual who came across as more of a wizard until we got to see how Davy used their abilities. I won't spoil any details beyond how certain key abilities were played, but if you are interested in finding out more about the kinds of DMs and players I look up to and aspire to emulate, I'll put a link in the description to Joe Cat's Necrohunt playlist. Davy would describe the spells and abilities of Nathaniel in this way that would evoke a cold manipulation of the minds of his targets. One example was Tasha's hideous laughter, being the forced eruption of an individual's insecurities and anxieties. He didn't want them to laugh, he wanted them to scream. Another instance was a use of Mantle of Inspiration influencing the other party members, pushing them to activate their adrenaline and move immediately. So after seeing this masterwork of doing something uncharacteristic of the class, I knew that at some point I wanted to make a bard with a twist. The core aspects of the bard that I wanted to shape into a new angle were its performative behaviour, its will to inspire others, and carrying a force of personality. Enter our subject for this video, Merrick Rencrest, the Smirking Bulwark. Merrick started out as this idea of a public hero, someone who was already established with at least some local renown. Mechanically, I knew I wanted this to come across as a character that would be at the forefront, but would spend most of its turns performing supportive actions instead of making the same attack each round. Merrick had various incarnations whilst I was trying to lock down a race and class. There was a Kobold Paladin version where his Draconic Cry would be a call to arms for those around him, and an Oath of Glory that would allow for buffing auras. There was also a Hexblade version, because of course there was, but it lacked the supporting ability pool to really fit the idea. So I fell back on the only thing I know how to do. Yes, it's that class again, Fighter. Now, before you question whether I hate Bard so much that I gave up on it partway through this video, Merrick is actually a multi-class character, currently with 1 level in Fighter and 3 in Bard. This is for a couple of reasons, really. The first being access to medium armor for that sweet, sweet survivability, and the second being access to actual shields, since they were key to the design of this character. Fighting style for defense and second wind as a little extra self-healing are just a nice bonus. Now on to the bard part of this bard video. We're going, of course, with swords bard for this character, meaning that we will need to be at least level 4 before the thematic fantasy we're going for truly comes online. But as I said earlier, it fits with the whole local hero idea, so there's that. We're going to get 3 things out of this. Firstly, we have the bonus proficiencies, which given we're a fighter don't mean much. However, we do get to use our weapon as a spellcasting focus for our bard spells now, meaning we can use a shield without concerns over spending actions freeing one of the hands up. Secondly is another fighting style, dueling for this one to help with any melee damage we go for. And lastly, along with our second level spells, we unlock Blade Flourish, which I will be reskinning slightly in-game to emphasize the sword and board archetype. Our defensive flourish will naturally be Merrick raising his shield up in a perfect parrying style a la Dark Souls. The slashing flourish can be angling the shield to defend above whilst performing a sweeping blow with his weapon. Then the mobile flourish can be a good old-fashioned shield bash. For proficiencies, I've gone with acrobatics and perception from the fighter, then deception, performance and sleight of hand from the bard, with the first 2 of those having expertise. This is because Merrick is, as per the intro, a fraud, a showman and a coward. So having him specialise in confidently fooling those around him fits the bill. Now, onto the spells. I've gone with Vicious Mockery because it seems like something a guy full of brave words would do, and Prestidigitation to clear up any blemish that might give him away. Charm Person, Healing Word, Bane and Dissonant Whispers make up our first level spells, tying into that supportive frontline of fantasy we're after here. Then Phantasmal Force and Enlarge Reduce for further deceptive antics at second level. As for race, Merrick is a hobgoblin, largely because of the huge thematic home run that is Fortune from the Many. It's all about saving face when your allies are around you. Can't go giving yourself away now, can we? Fey Ancestry is just generally useful against charms, and Fey Gift allows Merrick to have some additional bonus actions, which helps support his fellow party members. So with the mechanical overview of this build out of the way, let's talk about the bells and whistles that embellish Merrick's character. Let's start with the name.
Merrick Rencrest, the smirking bulwark.
Honestly, Merrick's first name came after coming up with a voice for him. It was just too fun to say with his full title. As for Rencrest, I liked the crest part in reference to heraldry, and Wrens are considered a noisy king of birds with ties to bad fortune. His general demeanour is a less common take on the Hobgoblin's old rules about saving face before their update in Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse into Fey beings. Boy, I really can't stop riding that Feywild, can I? And lastly, his personality is built around wanting to explore this idea of imposter syndrome, something we all suffer with as our days drag on and no one listens. But at the end of the day, that's one of the wonderful functions characters can fulfill for you in your role-playing games. You can literally be a goblin, putting up a shield barrier between you and the world you do not want to face. So I do hope this video has been a somewhat helpful example for you when looking to make characters in D&D that are a bend of the thematics they usually adhere to, and are thus more intriguing to you. I also want to take a moment at the end of this video to thank everyone for the positive praise. I know it might not seem like much in the grand scheme of this platform, but it does mean a tremendous amount to me to see these comments and feedback from yourselves. What I'm hoping for is that these videos can help guide players in a less explored method of character creation, in a way I would love to see players bring to the table in a game that I would DM for. There's a lot of back and forth in the D&D and TTRPG community at large about players versus DMs and who is in the wrong and all that. So I like to put a little bit of constructive approach out there and hope it changes something for the better for anyone. So thank you once again for watching, and do the best you can wherever you may be at.